Hello and welcome to the Final Bell podcast. It is great to have you with us again another week. Yes, I am back. I've got back from my holiday. I know you probably don't want to hear my voice because you've been loving hearing Meg and Renee, but you are stuck with me for this week again. We are brought to you each week by our friends at Morris, personal finance solutions, expert advice and finance specialists, all in the one place. Meg, I hear you two just had it all under control. There were questions about whether or not I got to get a run back in through the VFL, but thank you for having me back again this week.
Run back in through. No, it's great to have you here. I had a great time with Renee. Look, the offers are just rolling in, so we'll probably go private, and we've got our own podcast planned. It'll be awesome. But
I love it.
Well, I actually think I don't know. I think Renee's perhaps in negotiations later on in the year. A little W space. Can we say that? I'm hinting it. I'm going with it. So it'll be good to hear from her more then, but happy to have you back, Lingy, and certainly happy to have you back on the old intro. I struggled along the way there.
Oh, I think you don't give away the secrets. If you just say that you got it,
one take wonder.
One take wonder, exactly right. We went away on a bit of a road trip. We did the old school jump in the car, northern central New South Wales coast. We decided, my wife and I, we're going tech free, so there's no iPad, just going real old school, just an experience for the kids and no TV.
Yep.
But the one TV that we did manage to just squeeze in was the Geelong-Sydney game, the draw.
No.
Explaining to
you should have stuck to your policy. No TV.
Yeah. Well, at halftime I was thinking that as we were staring down what I think should have been about an 8-goal deficit at halftime, but it wasn't. Then we kind of should have won, and then we kind of should have lost when Robbie Fox ran into an open goal.
Oh, boy.
And I explained to my kids who were distraught over a draw that I reckon I'll take the 2 points there. Thank you very much.
I was with your kids because I think I said last week it was like should have lost by 8, should have won by 3.
Yep.
So oh well.
All right, we'll take the 2 points. We do get the win against North Melbourne though on the weekend. It was a terrific day. It was a fun day. I was here with my kids. We got back from the trip and it was a very relaxing day because the boys had done the job early. But it was a fun day around Zach Tui's record-breaking game and beautiful moment at the end of the game on behalf of the Steins family and that exchanging of gifts. That was pretty special.
It certainly was. I think it almost sort of crept up on Zach a bit. I think he said that across the first equaling the record in Sydney and then breaking it here. And I think he knew from listening to him that the club's good at celebrating their own and that we'd try and make a big deal of him. But I think the recognition he got more broadly was awesome and lovely for him. And I mean, what an honour to be presented with that jumper. And beyond that, just to get to enjoy Reg highlights throughout the 2 weeks and give the crowd something to barrack for on the weekend was really fantastic
when they were urging him on to kick a barrel.
And he just
he's like,
he caved.
I'll do it.
I know. And it reminded me, because I don't think he flushed it. I
mean,
it went a long way,
did
but
not.
he didn't flush it. And I think he said during the week that he goes, I shank more than I kick, but we almost went down the other end.
It
was so unpredictable and so not where it was supposed to go that it almost worked for him. But what a legend. And as we've said, what a beautiful guy.
Yeah, exactly right. My kids, my eldest is 10, so there is some naivety there. They at the game asked me, said, what's the big deal? What's the fuss? And it was nice having that moment, explain to them that Zach and these other players, Jim Steins, but also all these Irish players, they've moved from the other side of the world to take on a game that is pretty foreign to them. I know Gaelic football has some similarities, but a lot of differences. To not only come out and have a crack, which I think is a brave decision, and you managed to play one AFL game, congratulations to you, it's outstanding, but to then learn the game, understand the game, become elite at the game, and to have the sustained success that Zach has had and ultimately become a premiership player and played that many games of AFL football, hailing from the other side of the world, it is fantastic.
It is, and I think beyond all that, it's to love the game too. One of my favourite moments in the 2 weeks was, and I'll have to track down the interview, where I think he referred to Aussie rules as the greatest game in the world, which I don't think is something that you'd say in your first 50 games, or maybe maybe it takes 265. I don't know. I'm trying to get the Irish girls in our list to to fall in love that quickly, because their loyalty to home and to that round ball is pretty strong. So that he's been able to come here and create a whole life for himself, and get pretty close to mastery of the old oval ball is really great.
And beautiful with the family. I think Flynn stole the show as he tried to charge on through the banner at the start, and Reggie had to call him back. Oh, let's run through this together. It was fantastic. As I said, a pretty comfortable win in the end, and expected. Geelong, a very good football team. North Melbourne, certainly in that development phase as they're playing a lot of younger players. I think Griffin Lowe going down early really hurt them with that unfortunate injury, ended up with an ACL. Some of the highlights from the game, Meg, sitting there watching, I loved seeing Paddy back hunting after the footy, and a couple of those, they weren't even 50-50 balls. They were 40-60. Mm-hmm. He was out of position, and that hunger and that body just to get in there and win it and get it out and set us going. That was a really positive sign. But then I throw in the form of some of the wider football community, not the Geelong community would still call the unsung heroes and the lesser lights. Yep. Tom Atkins was just superb again. 25 touches, 14 tackles and 7 clearances from that game. And I thought out of that Sydney game, which was a bit of a messy game from the Cats' perspective, was one of the Cats' best then. He's in terrific form. Yeah,
he's going really well. And we're speaking about a number of players who are reclaiming their 2022 form, and he's certainly one of them. I think, he's not the same size as Danger, but the same sort of that hunt at the footy and that hardness.
Will to get the football.
I know, is almost more impressive when you're sort of, the stature that Axe is. And I look at him and I think, I just love this is going to sound specific, I love his walk. When he's done something hard on the ground, like he's gone to ground in a tackle, I think in the pocket, he got the ball over the line for a throw in, and his sort of shoulders go forward and he's just like, he's kind of a bit stooped, he's just sort of walking back like he's in.
Just get back to work.
He's like, get back to work. Get back on the tools.
Yes.
He's got his Blundstones on. This is great.
He's brilliant, and it's that type of player that drove the 2022 Premiership team. It was Tom Hawkins and Jeremy Cameron and Tom Stewart and Patrick Dangerfield's unbelievable final series that, yes, is the cream on top of the performance they delivered. But you had Tom Atkins playing just brilliant football. Another one who I think found or is recapturing a bit of that form from last year, Tyson Stengel.
Yeah, five goals.
Just some and dangerous at most times in the match. Every time we went forward 50, it was like, oh, there's Tyson again.
Yeah, and wanting the moment, even when possibly you could give the handball to Gary. But, I'm the man. I'm going to kick 5 today. So Tice is back. Speaking of, question without notice, are you a subscriber? Not that the people we've been speaking about are, inverted commas, bottom 6 players, of course, but are you a top 6 or a bottom 6 get you winning kind of guy? Ultimately,
winning finals, big finals, is what you call and term, and I'm with you. I'm hesitant to do it, but bottom 6. It is the trusted, even contribution of every single player.
Yeah.
When you're playing the very best teams in the biggest moments, biggest games, you can't have a player or two who can be broken.
Yeah.
They don't have to have the greatest game they've ever had, but they have to deliver to their expectation. And that, I think, allows what we call the top 6 to shine even brighter. But again, you don't need that top 6 to have world-beating games. Very much. And I look at Geelong and I see that group of players just getting rolling, playing some really good football. Again, without still the continuity of an entire team.
Yeah.
Again,
it's those smalls, isn't it? That, as you say, it's Tom Atkins, but the half forwards are really getting going. Whether that's Tyson or I'm sure we'll get to Grian's achievements coming up and how well he's going.
Just before we get to Grian, I want to give some love to the number 45 as well.
I was getting there.
Brad Close was brilliant on Sunday.
He is also in the goal assist caper at times. Yep. So when he sort of, I don't even know that he has a ping, but he's, having the shot from outside 50 and, to see Tyson Shepherd's it through, I was like, yes, Brad. What did he kick? How many did he kick? 3, 4?
3, I think.
3. A couple from the goal line.
Yep.
Doesn't hurt.
No, it doesn't hurt.
You got to be there.
Ollie Henry gets the 4. Ollie was maybe the recipient of 1 or 2 Fortunate decisions.
Yes, yeah.
Do we think that was deliberately rushed, by the way? I know it was deliberately rushed, but should have been paid. You can make the case that on the goal line, if somebody's within 4 metres,
did he take possession?
No, he
just tapped it through.
There's pressure.
Yeah, I haven't gone back and watched the broadcast. I
was laughing. I was laughing out loud that it was paid. I know the crowd urged it on and Geelong players were appealing for it.
Yeah,
and obviously what he was trying to do. But in the law it says if the player's under pressure, they're allowed to tap it through. Mm-hmm. Well, a forward closing at you about 4 or 5 metres away is under pressure.
Yeah, it is.
They can close that gap in half a second.
Yeah, I think you've just got to work on your performance of the fumble. Perhaps instead of a tap, it's a oi. I mean, as
a defender, you know that very well, don't you?
Well,
Meg?
I've actually
the juggle. Whoa, whoops! I dropped it. It's over the line.
I never let it get to that point. No, but I think like Jack Henry took one through, and I was like, that was profesh. Yes. Because he was playing is another one who I think is getting some continuity in his games and performance, and the way he was playing, I thought a fumble through the line was probably staged.
Yes, yeah, that's fair. Well, saw with him and Sam de Koning, they were back marking the ball. Like Tom Stewart always does it, but those two were back either taking the contested marks or the intercept marks.
Yeah, I was pulling my hair out in the Sydney game, as I think we all were, with the role clarity in the back line. Renee and I discussed it a little bit, and the sort of sagging off. Now, not every team is going to do what North did and allow Stewie to play as a spare, like have absolutely no one on him. But I think the commitment to the task is sort of all the defenders having clear, I'm defending this player, winning your one-on-ones, then allows greater clarity for someone like DK to start, intercepting, and I think we looked really solid behind the ball without, with two defenders or two regular defenders out.
Yes, Jed Buse and Jake Collar-Jasny. Any updates on them, by the way?
I believe Collar is available, will be available, and Jed's likely to be another week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Collar available is good. I just look at Cole Langford and I think nice matchup. Great matchup. Langford's been a real threat for the Bombers, and I think Collar would be the perfect matchup there. You hinted at it, Brian Myers playing game number 100 this week against the Bombers. Good news as well, signing a new contract.
I know, it's awesome, isn't it? 3 years for Brian, and to do so at the peak of your career at the moment, or to date, is must be a really good feeling. I'm interested to hear from you about, what it's like to be a local lad and then continue to contribute to your club, but also what the sort of upswing, what's been the reason for Brian's form this year? Is it just a natural, X amount of years, however many years into my AFL career? Is he being given more opportunity? Is it his craft? We have a greater appreciation for his skill set.
A little from column A, B and C there. I think he's always done a power of work up and back and used that elite running skills. I think one of the best runners endurance-wise in the entire club. He's done that work, and then often when you're doing that amount of work and you're still younger, you get to the next contest or your ability to find, okay, actually, here's a chance for me to win the ball, and you're just exhausted.
Yeah.
And you don't have that gear that others can go to because of conditioning and multiple pre-seasons and all of that. So I think he's got that now where his work rate up and back is still there, but it's almost in a cruise mode. He can do that. So when he gets to a point where he's like, okay, I got to push a bit here because I can get a handball receive, or I can get a little kick, or I've got to go to a contest. He's got energy to do that. Also, a greater understanding about how he can find 4, 5, 6 more touches per game to be involved and be an outlet, to be an influence. I also think the team's trusting him even more. They've seen how elite he is kicking the ball inside forward 50 and the reward the team gets from it. So it's I could use grind there. I think in the past I could use grind there, or I might just kick it myself. Now it's use grind.
Yeah, anywhere in the 45 to 70 range from goal, they're looking to give it to him, aren't they?
Yes.
as we've continually noted, it's turning into a goal more often than not.
It is, and what I do notice, and I noticed on the weekend, was when Grind now gets it, there is an extra bit of urgency by the other forwards up the ground to re-lead again.
Yeah, okay.
Hawk knows, actually, I'll put in that, and I'm going to turn and go because Grind will use me.
Yeah.
And that adds to that connection piece as well, because Tom, to get free, makes 7 different leads against a big, strong Ben Mackay, who I thought was quite good for the Kangaroos, just to make that one lead where he eventually gets it. Well, to make that final lead, if you're in doubt that the player's going to see you or have the skill to hit you, you might just wait and think, oh, he'll kick it in long.
At the back, yeah.
But he knows when Grind gets it, make that lead because Grind will hit me.
Yeah.
So that's really important. I love the fact that Grind has got the reward for the kicks inside 450, the goal assist, the score assist that we're talking about, but he's finding more of the other football as well.
Yeah, 32 game high, career high disposals on the weekend, I think. And is it true that I've seen him in the CBs a little bit more recently?
Yeah, I reckon.
Occasionally, I'm like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Right I reckon in the Melbourne game, I'm pretty sure he was getting some midfield minutes
in the centre back. Yeah, and I think that's important too. If you have that little string to your bow as a high half forward, as we all know, really tough position to play, and you can get lost, and the game can just go around you despite covering 16 Ks for the game.
Yeah.
If you can just go...
I wouldn't know, but yeah.
If I can do a 4-minute burst in the midfield and show I've got centre bounce capabilities, maybe you just get yourself involved and you feel good. Oh, had 2 or 3 touches. Okay, I'm in the game now a little bit more. That running becomes less arduous and more, I'll keep doing the running because I've got a little bit of reward. We all crave.
Yeah, totally.
We all crave for footy.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we started playing the game. We want to have a kick.
Yeah, you've got to you got to be fueled to, get that nice little taste. So 100 games from on the weekend is, just a great achievement.
Brilliant from a local, as you said, local Grovedale lad.
Yeah.
Pick in the 50s. I remember watching him as he was underage playing in a senior Grovey game here.
Yeah.
Kicking goals galore. For Grovedale. So it's fantastic for him,
Yeah.
a wonderful story. And, the fascination when he first started was, what is that kicking style? And someone's got to teach him how to change. He's got to change his kicking style. He's got to kick. No, I think what they realised and what he realised, it works for him.
Totally.
It's now unpredictable as to where it's going, and he's done a wonderful job.
And I look at his field kicking, not to go on about it, and I think, I don't know that there are that many limits on his distance or his, kicking on the run. I think it's just a idiosyncrasy that works for him inside 50 or off, on a sort of slower play situation. So
it's a technique that works for him. I do encourage my kids to not necessarily follow that because it works for Grind so well.
Who are they following?
It depends who's had a good game. They were kicking like him after Sunday.
Yeah.
But then, if Tom kicks a nice little bag, then I get the nice straight set shots. I'm like, okay, that's...
Gary Rowan's got a nice one of those too.
He flushes the ball.
Doesn't he?
Fantastic. It was a good game. It was a good win, but it was an expected win against the Kangaroos. What becomes even tougher is Saturday night. GMHBA Stadium will be heaving Geelong versus Essendon. I have heard certain people who may have previously worn the red and black in the media just hinting at should be moved up the highway, get a big crowd there.
Come on now.
And I had to reply on radio this morning with... it's okay for teams to have home games at their home ground. It's this crazy
what
thing
are you scared of?
Where teams are allocated games at their home ground, and it's okay for them to be played there. And why would you give another team maybe a little extra advantage playing it somewhere else? So anyway, that aside, that was me having a little bit of banter with Lloydie. It'll be huge. And Essendon playing great football, a terrific win against the Adelaide Crows, sitting in 5th on the ladder.
Yeah, certain people are saying it's their best, what did I hear on telly last night? The best half of football since they last won a final is what people are saying. But also, is that only possible at Marvel against those teams? I think their defence will be tested. I think their ability to sort of move the ball is hopefully restricted by the Cats at GMHBA Stadium. So
yes, they do move it quite nicely, don't they? So it'll be a great test for the way that we defend right across the ground and try and go back through them. I'm just reading some of the stats that were very kindly prepared for us.
Yes,
Meg.
go on.
Not saying I've done any preparation. Thank you, Jake and Troy. First time since round 21, 1993, outside of COVID, let me just add that Essendon has played at Cardinia Park. The Cats beat the Baby Bombers that day. Of course, Bombers went on to win the premiership by 32 on the back of 25 and 4 goals from Barry Stoneham. Solid game. And 29 and 3 goals from the great Gary Buddha Hocking. That was part of, now I can remember this, the run that the Cats made at the end of 93 where they had to win their last 5 games and they, on almost a rotating basis, Meg, they played the top team in, I think, 4 of those. So they'd knock one off and that team would drop back down. Someone else would jump up to top on the ladder and then the Cats had to take them on. And they kept winning, beat West Coast in Perth to give themselves a chance, and they relied on Adelaide beating Collingwood, or it could have been the other way round, but the result went against us and we didn't make the finals. I always thought that was our big chance of winning the flag in 1993.
I'll defer to you on anything
we were flying.
2000
Just showing how old I am there, Meg.
But perhaps not dissimilar to, I mean, I'm backing us in to make the finals, of course, this year, and we'll get to some comments on that later, but we do at the moment tend to be playing on a rotating basis teams that are above us.
Yes,
and we've got that on the run home to just get us into a rich vein of form before September.
Yeah, so I was looking at that. I thought if we make, and Chris Scott did say that we're the danger.
We're the danger.
Yes, just saying that don't worry about making finals. It's what we're going to do in finals, which I love that attitude. That is exactly what I want.
I think Zach Toohey was sitting next to him at the time and the smirk on his face was great. He was like, oh, I see. I think he was a bit like, I see this every day, and he's just giving you a little peep.
Yes. I look ahead and think, so when they make finals, they're going to have to be and will be in great form.
Yeah.
Because the run is the Bombers, Brisbane at the Gabba, Port Adelaide here, Freo here, the Bulldogs here, the Saints at Marvel.
Pies at the MCG.
Pies at the MCG, obviously in a different order to what I've just listed them off. But that is it is a tough run home.
Yeah.
But gee, it's a good sharpening up run home.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I feel like there's some probably like Latin saying or something about if we make it, we're going to be in good form. Oh my gosh. Guys, can you just work that out?
I'll let you go with the Latin saying.
I don't even know. Listeners, write in if I've comment anywhere near it. Something, therefore something.
Therefore, okay, I like it. The Bombers do move the ball really well. They've got a good midfield. Mind you, the ruck could be, Sam Draper won't be back. I've gone blank. Andrew Phillips is out at the moment, accepting a week suspension. Yep. But their midfield of Merritt and Parrish and Caldwell and these types of players are going along nicely. Nick Martin on the wing.
Yeah.
When they get through quick.
Yeah, they do. I think it might even be Merritt's 200th game. It'll be disappointing for him to have a loss during it. But no, they're super threatening. I think I saw some vision the other week about how aggressive they are with their wings. So I'm interested to see if that's continuing. I don't know if it did on the weekend. Is that an area that we can expose them? I'm not sure. But yeah, their midfield's pretty mighty. But I think ours takes that as a challenge every week. So we annihilated them earlier in the year in that first. That was
Tomahawk putting on a show.
Yeah, so are they missing? Is one of their defenders in doubt?
Jordan Ridley is in doubt.
Okay,
I don't know. We'll know more as the week progresses. But he would be a big blow. He's a terrific footballer, Jordan.
Especially
Ridley.
If we've got Jerry coming back in.
Well, that's the question. So Jeremy Cameron might be back. Interested to see if they'd take a more conservative approach and just take their time with him. Also, Jake Kolodjasny, you feel, will be back into the team. Jed Buse perhaps another week. So still a couple of potential changes for the team.
Is he come back in? Speaking of wings,
Isaac Smith, of course, yes, managed out and resting up that body of his. So that's a really good question. The VFL got hammered in the end. They they got run over the top of by North Melbourne. I loved seeing Ollie Dempsey too get a bit of a taste and an opportunity in the senior game on the weekend with Mark Blitzarv subbed out. That was just tactical.
That's management, yeah.
Lots of nods. Excellent. That's what I like to hear. Mitch Nevitt found a little bit of the footy, 18 touches, 5 tackles in the VFL. Sam Menegola, good to see him back running around, having 20 touches, 7 tackles, to be amongst the side's best. Well, Shannon Neal kicked a couple of goals for the Cats. So those still trying to keep their name up there. But when you get blokes like Jeremy Cameron and Jake Kolodjasny and Isaac Smith coming back in, it still remains a very tough team to break into.
It does, and as we say, that's where it's got to be. If you're going to have success, you are probably unlikely to have it if there's no selection pressure. So I think we're shaping up nicely come the back half of the year, and there'll be hard luck stories along the way, no doubt, but it's a good sign.
There will be. I want to take a break in just a second, Meg, before we get to some of our listener questions. The VFLW, the season is over.
I know. The season's over. I think we covered it last week, but yeah, they fell short at the end. It's a pretty challenging season with AFLW players in and out and player movement. But congrats to the girls. I saw a bunch of them back in the gym last night because I know a few will be starting to train with us as part of our preparation. So onwards and upwards for the VFLW.
Yes, they finished 8th, just 2 points outside the top 6. So, as you said, they'll get stuck straight back into some training, or some of them will, which is fantastic. So life will continue to be nice and busy for them, Meg, as it is for you.
No, I was struggling for a seggy there, but I provided it. Thanks, Lingy. You didn't miss a beat. Yes, life is busy enough without more life admin. That's why Morris is now bringing their personal approach to personal finance. Their team is here to help you finance your next lifestyle asset with their free person-to-person service designed to find a finance deal that works best for you. Call Morris today on 1300 4MORRIS or head to morrisfinance.com.au.
Thank you very much, Meg. You've done that beautifully. We will take a break.
Not my best, but it's all right. Roll on.
We'll take a quick break and back with your questions shortly. Welcome back. It is great to have you with us on to the Final Bell, the official Geelong Cats podcast. Big thanks to our friends at Morris who let us bring you this chat every single week. I am with Meg McDonald, and time, Meg, to get to our listener questions. We really appreciate everyone who sends their questions in as we're starting to get to the pointier end of it all. I know we're still what you'd call in sort of that mid-season bit, but we're out of those dreaded buys. For those footy fans, the players love the buys, but we start heading into the really exciting part of the year where that ladder certainly takes shape. So keep your questions coming to us and we'll get to as many as we possibly can. This one's from George. To both, who is the closest equivalent that you've played with to what Myers is doing team first-wise going forward? You got one that springs to mind?
I had a look at this question earlier, and I don't want to do anyone in my team with disservice, but I think that is ahead of us. We've got some incredibly selfless players, and I'm thinking of the ones that roll through that high half forward spot. You've got Julia Crockett-Grills does it year in, year out, looking to hold some width. We've got former co-host Renee Gehring. I know Nina Morrison, fans should look out for her with this season coming up. Obviously huge in the midfield, but I think in terms of that running capacity, that's probably where I'd land. Looking at Nina's a very selfless player and will play whatever role is required, but best runner in the team and can get up and down and good off both sides of the foot with finding a forward. So shout out to Neens, but I would also say, Jules and Kate Sermons added to the team this year too. So we've got plenty that are vying for the ultimate Grind Myers mantle, but I'm happy at the moment for them to keep fighting it out because it works for us.
I love because you are captain of the team and still playing with them. You've got to mention lots and lots. I can get away. I can get away with Bernie, a couple of them, and
say it.
I've only got to run into them once a year at a reunion, and they all get grumpy at me eventually anyway. So, no, I think what springs to mind, and talk about that selflessness of what Grind's doing with that desire, and almost sometimes to a fault on the weekend, to pass it off, is a Matty Stokes or Travis Farko for me. Both playing that similar role, the high half forward, the huge work rate required. They're both elite with their running. At times running so much and so sacrificial that they'd get to back into the forward line contest and you could just see them out on their feet.
Yeah.
And you think, you've done so much work for us. But fortunately for Trav, the 2011 grand final, he got some reward.
I was going to say, I'm looking forward to Grind breaking 50, kicking the first goal of a granny.
Yeah, that would be nice. First two of the granny for Travie. Yeah. But the one, and now this is one of the all-time greatest goals in AFL grand final history in my eyes. I don't think it gets enough love, personally. That goal that Trav kicked late in the 2011 grand final just showcased. Now, it ends up in him kicking the goal, so it's maybe against the selfless thing, but everything Trav did was selfless. He worked all the way up, won a possession pretty much in the back goal square, was involved again on the wing with the work rate to keep the ball going forward, then receives the handball inside forward 50 and has the class to finish on his left. Yeah. I can't overstate how hard that is, you know, to get from one end of the ground to the other, involved in multiple bits of the play. It is huge.
You're very generous in saying, as I know.
Well, you know
I've never
how
done that
hard
in my life, but
on a field where there's multiple contests, you've got to effort after effort.
And skill execution at the end of it is exactly right.
So certainly Trav, and Stokesy did it all the time. Moons adored Stokesy because he knew that Stokesy did all the work Moons didn't want to do or didn't have to do as the big key forward. A couple of those guys certainly had that mindset. George, thank you for your question. Righty poses this question to us. A really good question relating to Saturday night's game against the Bombers. Do we play a shutdown role on Merritt? Zach Merritt, the captain of the Bombers this week.
I don't feel I can speak specifically to Merritt. I probably haven't watched enough of him this year. When people ask questions of, say, Bontempelli, I'm like, I've watched a lot of the Bond, et cetera, et cetera. But I mean, all I could say is the most sort of generic. We have players in the midfield at the moment who I would say play off, not shut down, but play off pretty key opposition players. And obviously Reece's return to the team has allowed Blitz to do that more and more, and Mark O'Connor's in there as well. So we've got the players to do it, but a real shutdown, I don't know if it impedes our ability. What do you reckon?
No, and I don't think we have that player who necessarily plays it super effectively within our team structure. To Zach's credit, he's taken his game to a new level this year with the captaincy added to his game.
Impressive.
I love the way he plays when he... I was critical of Bombers players like Darcy Parish and Zach Merritt, might have been 2 years ago, when it felt like, or it might have been last year, when they just ran around and got touches. Yeah. They're both clever. They're round the ball. Ring a rosy. Here's a touch for you. Here's a touch for me. And we both get 30 touches and go nowhere with it. Yeah. Don't love that type of footy. Zach, this year, it's going forward. The play is moving forward. He's kicking those running goals from, just outside 50, really hurting opposition teams. So a wariness of Zach, but I think our system and our bigger bodies of Blitz and Tom Atkins, who hunts after the ball, I think we'll take care of a lot of that around stoppages. But just when he gets forward hard and tries to kick the running goals, either kicking to Peter Wright inside 50 or kicking the goals himself, I think that's the one to be really cautious of.
Yeah, which is...
Any midfielder.
It's hard to stop, but I think you're right. That contest stuff is also where he's built his, form this year, right? It's where he's now being rewarded and congratulated for his own defensive pressure and attack on the footy. So in that circumstance, I guess you just got to go head to head. Yeah,
and I think so. And one advantage we do have there is Darcy Parish and Zach are terrific contested players, but they are slightly smaller bodied midfielders. So a player like Blitz might be able to control the side and almost force Zach into a bottled up at the ruckman's feet type possession winning, as opposed to getting through and using his decision making and creativity. It'll be a great battle, Righty. So we love the question. Jazza Lee asks this one, Meg. What is the mindset going against the top sides?
We are the danger.
I feel, as we are getting to know each other and spending time together, that you have a very similar mindset to me in that you love the challenge of playing against the best. There's no doubt there's a competitiveness. You want to beat everyone, but almost that little extra bit of, okay, this team's really good and this particular player is really, really good within that really good team and important to them. I want to beat that person and that team.
Yeah, I'll just speak for our W team at the moment. I think we're going into a season where been shown all the graphs on how well we were able to, kick the second highest score ever and that sort of thing in the comp. But our scoring ability against the best or against the top 4 sides isn't what it needs to be to win. So that's what your entire preseason is sort of structured around and built towards, is a game style and a system that's going to get it done. And you've got to test that at some point. We've never played Melbourne in our comp, and we're hoping to this year. So it'll be the real test, the reigning premiers, how we're going to go against them. And, we're absolutely looking forward to it. And I feel that we've learnt that attitude from, all the best teams say it, don't they? That's what you play football for.
And that was, and this is a long time ago when I retired, but to go back there and the conversations I had with Chris Scott and Neil Baum about, we want you to play on, and there's an opportunity to play on. And I said to them, I reckon 10 of the teams in the competition, I've got no worries thinking I can contribute and I can run around and I can play some good footy for you against 10, maybe 12 of those teams. But for the first time, I'd that real belief in myself and that real desire to go, I can do this for my team against the best player in the best team in the biggest game. That had waned. And I'd almost left it completely out there in that 2011 final series. I thought, I don't actually want to be the player who just gets a kick against the other 10 teams. I want to be the one who feels valued against the very best teams. And once that was gone for me, it was like, okay, now's my time to pass it on to someone else. So, I certainly feel exactly what you're talking about. Best player, best team in the biggest game is what I think the real competitors live for.
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess, as you've said, and whether it's on a team level or an individual level, you have to be in a position to feel like you're confident and you're up for it too. Yep. It's not for, speak a team like North on the weekend who was struggling to go, I want to just play the best. It's where you are at that moment in time, where the Cats are at the moment, going, we're ready for it.
Yeah. Bring on the Bombers on Saturday night. Thanks for that, Jazzalee. ESJ Landscapes. Nice little business plug for them. Beautifully done. Have asked the question from my 10-year-old son, Jack. Oh, that's beautiful.
I'll put Jack's handle in there then.
Thank you for listening, Jack. What other sports did you play growing up?
Jack, I do feel conscious of how often I speak about this, but I was a tennis player growing up. My parents were lucky enough they bought a block of land and the only thing on it was a tennis court. So that's where my love of the game came from. I was pretty serious about it for, first 15 years of my life.
Come on, push your humility aside just for 1 second and give me a little bit. How good what sort of level were you at, sort of juniors, older juniors?
I was in state teams like under 12s, under 14s. I was in like the national squad and things, sort of, your 6-day-a-week setup until I was probably 14, 15. And I think if you haven't made it internationally by then in that sport, you're probably not going to. So I think you feel pretty dedicated and committed, but never, you're dreaming, but you're also well aware that it's an international sport where only the top 100 make a living worth anything, and you're not in the top 3 in the country. So.
Sorry, I just want to dig deeper on this. Hope you don't mind, Jack. Did you have a moment where you were playing against an opponent or watching an opponent of the similar age and you thought, oh my goodness, like that, and I don't know if they went on and did anything, but you were like, that's the level, and I know that's a level that's not attainable? Is that sort of what happened, or...?
I don't think I probably didn't play at a level to then play those players like internationally. I think what sort of cripples me in life, whatever sport, is the fact that I was pretty concerned with looking good. So I had great technique. I had a great serve. But the thing, Lingy, in tennis is you win a point by getting the ball in once more than your opposition. And it's nice to have great technique and to look really powerful and be the best athlete. If you don't get the ball on the court, you're not going to win.
Makes it a bit harder.
Yeah, so it's like you can load up on a kick, but if you're shanking it all the time, disposal efficiency is low, it's not working for you. So my claim to fame, which everyone hangs a bit on me about, is that I experienced flow state, let's say, of course you do. I remember playing one game in like under 13s, 14s and being like, oh my goodness, I'm in the zone. And I knocked out Johanna Konta, who tennis fans might know, grew up in Australia, moved to Great Britain. I think she's recently retired, but she, I don't know, peaked at top 5 in the world, right? Once beat Venus, who's obviously once beaten Serena. Yep. Therefore, another Latin saying, I've beaten Serena.
That's a well-known Latin saying, that one. Meg McDonald has beaten Serena Williams.
I've beaten, yeah.
Yeah. Just
it's like degrees of separation of beating someone. No, so that was my experience with tennis. Tennis, in a way, led me to footy, and I think helps me play from fullback. But that was and shout out to her. I think there's Janelle Cuthbertson. My dad reckons we used to play tennis against each other. She's now at Port, I think. Claudia Gunjaka, tennis player. Well. So yet to see a tennis player who's a beast midfielder. I think it's all very keep the game in front of you, but I've got no doubt that Ash, my girl Ash Barty, who was years younger than me, and yes, I think I looked at her and I was like, well, that's a different level. If she wants to come over.
Play for the Cats.
Play for the Tigers. I just want to see it happen.
Got to get rid of that love for the Tigers, don't we?
She can
just play. Just play for the Tigers.
It's funny, I've managed to spend a lot of time onto my tennis again.
Maddie Egan was tennis.
Do you know, maybe that's why we both had the same injury. Too much.
Yeah, stress through the foot.
Through the navicular, yeah.
Obviously adapted very well to football as well, all Australian. Yeah, interesting. I growing up, Jack, I just played cricket. It was footy in the winter, cricket in the summer.
I'm cricket obsessed at the moment. Continue.
Yes, don't worry about a lot of Ash's text threads I'm on at the moment, right across the first 3 tests. It was always cricket, and then the moment, and there was a distinct split in the seasons then. It was almost like a week off. Cricket bats got dropped, footies came out, and away we go. And footy was always my favourite out of the two. My brother was the other way around. He was a brilliant cricketer. He loved cricket more than footy, but we were a cricket and footy obsessed house. There was no other sport even on the radar. When Michael Jordan was on the radar, on the clips on the Sport Report, but that was it.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah.
What were you? Bowl, bat,
I bowled a bit of medium pace, but no, I was more an opening batsman. I was way too boring and technically correct. And
see, I knew we were alike. You can look good, but if you're nicking them off to first slip, it's no good.
I'd make runs eventually, but they would be. I wouldn't be suited for the Big Bash. Let's put it that way.
I was going to say, were you a Mitch Marsh type, but no.
No. I would be. I'd slot in nicely in the 1980s English cricket team.
Right, you're testing my knowledge here.
Where I'd be making 60 off about 240 balls. Very solid
left-handed?
Defensive. No, right-hander.
Right-handed?
I played. I got to travel a little bit throughout Victoria schoolboys cricket and things like that around Swan Hill and Mildura and a few rep teams and that. I loved cricket, and I still play now locally with my club St Joey's, but never.
Right, who's playing in the 4th test?
Who's going to get in there?
Like, are they bringing back?
I think
Are they bringing Green in?
I think if he's right to go,
you think Davey Warner? You're retiring Davey Warner.
Finished, yep.
Okay.
And is Nathan Lyon's calf that bad? Any chance?
Oh my gosh,
big
it's hard.
Can we get him back in?
A little shout out to Annabelle Johnson. I don't know if this is appropriate, but I'm going to say it anyway. Whose future husband Todd Murphy, as she refers to him, I don't think he got enough of a go at it, to be honest. So it's nice that you want Gary back, but also give the kid a shot. Okay. Maybe a bit before we're 120 to. Anyway, they went to school together in Echuca, so
right.
My best wishes for that, for her future.
Yes. Very good. Very, very good. Thank you to your 10-year-old son, Jack, for that question. Love that one. Talking about a moment where you just realise how good someone is.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I stuck at this sport because it was footy. Yep. I remember getting called up to play in the under-16 championships for the Falcons against Ballarat. I think we had to drive to Bendigo that morning. I was a bottom age, played in the under-15 schoolboys, played all right, got the call up, me and another mate, jumped in the car. Thank you, Dad, for a very early drive up that morning. Played against this 16-year-old kid for the Ballarat Rebels. Now, I thought at this stage I'm going okay, and I was a good marker of the footy. I was a key position player. I could take a good pack mark. The ball's come in long, and I thought, that's my ball. Yep. Like, I just had that nice run. That's my just easy as you like. And in this split second, this player jumped basically over the entire pack.
Yeah, I know the
feeling. Marked the ball, landed, and kept running. And I thought, okay, I think I'm a little bit off this guy. Now, it turned out that his name was Adam Goods. So
I was like, who's this going to be?
It wasn't the end of the world for me, but that was this moment as I just watched him fly over the pack, marking the ball that I, just in my mind, was my ball.
Just had your name on it, yeah.
And he cleared the entire pack. I thought, oh, wow, I'll never play football. Like, this guy's just way too good, and there's too much. And
no, what you actually thought was, I love testing myself against the best.
I love testing myself against the best, but don't get that confused with the fact I still had plenty of doubts and insecurities over that time, and got to play on Goodsy eventually, which was very, very special. We better finish up just quickly before we do. For years, Morris has been supporting businesses and the community to generate success together. Now they are bringing their personal approach to personal finance. Cars, boats, caravans, motorbikes, even jet skis, they are all about getting you out there living life. Let their team of finance specialists take on the life admin of arranging your finance so you can get on with life. Call Morris today on 1300 4MORRIS or head to morrisfinance.com.au. As I said, big thanks to Morris for allowing us to have a chat every week and talk all things Geelong. We will be back next week post the Cats taking on the Bombers at GMHBA Stadium, Saturday night, 7:25 start. It will be a huge game. There'll be so much to talk out of that game. And into Brisbane. I mean, it'll be a juicy pod next week. Yes, it certainly will be. Thanks to all of our listeners. Thanks for those who've sent the questions in. Big shout out to young Jack for listening to us. Meg, thank you to you. Good luck with your continuing pre-season. Thanks, Lingy. And what are you training for at the moment? Oh, yeah. You back on running? I should start training. That's the first step in training for something. All right. It's begin training. I had a good holiday. Let's just put it that way. Enjoy. It's time to get to work. We'll be back next week.